Today's look is a kind of a modern twist on Japanese Kabuki Theatre. You want to make sure that you start out with a nice clean face. And I'm going to completely cover my eyebrows for this one. I'm just using a regular Elmer's glue stick. And first I'm going the opposite direction of hair growth and then brushing it down and then doing a layer over the eyebrow in the direction of the hair growth. And I'm letting that dry and then topping it with some nice thick concealer. And then instead of not doing a white grease paint all over my face, I've taken some moisturizer and mixed it with the lightest foundation I could find in the store. And I'm using that just as a nice base. And now I'm taking a white grease paint and I'm using a sponge, nope, didn't use a sponge. I'm using my fingers for this one so I can get a nice thick application. And I'm only doing, I'm working, starting at my eyes and working outwards. I'm not doing my whole face for this one. What I'll do after I have it all on my face is I'll take a makeup sponge and I'll blend the white to make sure it's all smooth. And then I'll blend the edges outward so it softens and blends into my skin tone. And a lot of people see this look and they think of Japanese geishas, and geishas very traditional. So if you do a geisha look, you really want to stick to the way the makeup is supposed to look. The Kabuki Theatre, it's kind of the same premise, but you can play around with it a lot more. You can really add some more imagination to it. You can have more fun with your designs. What I'm doing now is I'm setting the face powder with an illuminator. And now I'm just kind of drawing lines on top of the eyebrows. You really want this to be a real dramatic look. You want to think about the way that people look when they're acting and on the stage. The makeup is very heavy, it's very dramatic, and you want to really overplay the features of the face. So I took some red grease paint and just drew some lines, and now I'm pulling down the color with some red eyeshadow, straightening up those lines just a little bit. And now I'm taking a pink and blending that down from the red to make the look a little bit softer. And taking a little bit of a white illuminator powder and doing that on the edges, just to fade it out. Next I'm taking a black and lining the top of the eyebrow paint and shading that down into the red. What I'm doing now is defining the crease of the eye with a black powder. And I'm just blending that around. For this part, you really just want to follow the creases of the eye and just emphasize the natural shading that's already there. And now I'm just emphasizing the lower lash line with a little bit of black powder. And to make the eye look bigger, I'm going to bring the corner of the eye down with some black liquid eyeliner, creating a nice point. And I do kind of a connect the dot thing. I'll do dots before I make an actual line because dots are easier to clean up if it's not the shape that you like or if it's a little bit different on one of the sides or the other. And you want to extend that back out and do kind of like a cat eye and wing that out to the back of the eye. And I'm adding a little bit of extra detail on the underside of the eye. And I just added a couple crescent moon shapes. And of course, you always want to have Q-tips handy in case you do make a mistake. And now I'm taking an eyeliner brush and pulling that down with a black powder and highlighting the sides of my nose and adding a little bit more shading to the corners of the eye. And I wanted a little bit of sparkle, so I just added some glitter to the lid. And to really emphasize the cheekbones, I kind of squished my brush a little bit as I was putting on the blush so I could make a nice straight line. And then I went over that with the dark pink and the red to create a nice line. And same as the eyes, you really want to stick to the natural contours of the face. You're just playing up the shadows and the highlights that are already there. And I used a little bit of red lipstick and a little bit of white powder on the outside and finish with mascara. And that's the completed makeup. And now it's time to move on to the hair. Now for the hair, I did try to stick with a traditional geisha style hair. I'm using a little bit of Murray's pomade, and I'm just taking that and I'm putting it on the comb and I'm brushing that through. If you have time to really play with this, I usually take the hair dryer and just set it on the counter pointing towards the pomade can. It's a tin can, so it really works well. It holds the heat in it. And if you've never used Murray's pomade, it's really thick. And you kind of want to, it's easier to work with if you melt it down a little bit. And what I did, I sectioned my hair into 5 different sections. And the crown of the head, I just pulled into a tight ponytail. The front section, I'm pulling back into a nice poof and pinning that down with bobby pins. And smoothing it out with the end of the comb. And the 2 side sections, you're pretty much doing the same thing. I'm taking a little bit of the pomade and combing it through and adding a quick twist, just a half twist to get it to stick out a little bit more. And then pinning that. I'm trying to pin these. You want them close to the ponytail, but you don't want them right on top of it. We're going to blend those in after everything's all pinned up. Doing the same thing on the other side, combing some pomade into it, a quick twist and pin it down. This is definitely a lot easier. The longer the hair that you have, the easier this is. And that back section, I'm just pinning up underneath, nothing fancy. Now with the ponytail, I'm adding some pomade and I'm rolling it under and pinning it down so it's a nice smooth roll. And then for my decorations, I just had a couple strings of beads lying around. So I looped those together and pinned them in. And then added some flowers. And you really want to spray this down. And that's what the hair looks like. And the face. And you can play with this as much as you want. And have fun.